Welcome to our second video on the California Professional Land Surveyor exam. I'm your host, Tony Nettleman, and we're talking all about how to get through this exam and get your passing score. So our topic today is the statutes, and these things are a monster. Look at the size of this. Now, this is not quite the size of Virginia. Virginia takes 5 of these 3-ring binders. It's a huge resource. But personally, I like Alabama because Alabama is about this thick and it's very simple. Oh, even better yet, Oklahoma. Oklahoma only tests 2 topics, the public land system and minimum standards. Crazy. But anyways, let's talk about the statutes. So whenever you sign up for your exam, you should download this thing called the Exam Professional Land Surveyor Examination Reference List. And you should get all of these books on the list. All of the resources, all of the handouts, all of the statutes. Now, when I took my examination years ago, the California board was very gracious. They said, quote, California Civil Code, see attached list. And they gave you a list on the back of the blueprint of all of the items you should study. Now, let me stop you right there and tell you that when you get our statutes, or whether you put together your own, you should stop and you should flag all of these different topics in your practice, in your statutes, because these are heavily tested topics. Property ownership, easements, maintenance of monuments, all kinds of good stuff. And this is not the board acts, these are not the board rules, this is all other kinds of civil codes which you should know. So I flagged these up and I found a lot of them on the exam, obviously. But now look at the new exam blueprint. No references to special topics. This is the new exam blueprint, October 2024, and it just simply says California Civil Code, Division 1 through 4. So whereas we had maybe a dozen pages, maybe 100 pages with my list, now we have 500, 700, 800 pages in this California Civil Code. This is a huge statute binder now. What is the effect of this change? Well, the effect is that the board could test you on many other topics that are somewhat unrelated to surveying because the exam's tough and they're going to ask tough questions. In the end, the California Statutes binder in the current testing session has grown substantially. You will find other things like it'll say California Professional Land Surveyors Act, current year. That's very particular. California Subdivision Map Act. This is a government code, very specific. You should flag it. Now, you'll also find other things such as Division 9 Street and Highway Code, which is less specific. It's bigger. So, in the end, you've got to put together the entire statutes administrative code for this exam because you have no idea what's going to be asked of you. You've got to have all of it. I've been to so many exams where I did not have the proper statute or have the proper administrative code because of my mistake. And in the end, I suffered for it. I didn't pass the exam or I was struggling. So you've got to get all these codes. But once you have them, I want you to go back and flag not only the codes and the statutes which the board said was important years ago, which I'm going to tell you about in this video, but also flag all of the important stuff in these statute binders that you think is going to be on the exam. This is a great way to study. This is a great exercise. And it helps you internalize the important topics in the statute binder. Now, our last topic is asking yourself, well, how do I know what's going to be on the exam? I've never taken this thing. How do I know what to flag? Well, what does every state test? Continuing education requirements, proficiency in terms of minimum standards of surveying. What else? How about how to keep your license every year in terms of other requirements? Maybe not becoming a surveyor because that's redundant, but all of the different topics of surveying which we deal with in daily practice. Minimum monument size, minimum accuracy and precision. All of these things are topics that are going to be heavily tested. Now, California specific, how about when to use a parcel map, when to use a preliminary final plat map, when no map is required, you can just deed the property. That's a great topic. Next, records of survey and when those are required. Now, there's a record of survey, but there's also a corner record. And there are some times when you meet a corner record at a minimum. There are other times when a record of survey is required at a minimum. That's a heavily tested topic. How about county surveyors? You know, what is a county surveyor? What do they do? How do they operate? What are the requirements of getting your records of survey approved by a county surveyor? All of those things are heavily tested topics. So there's going to be a lot of surveying stuff mixed up in these binders that you should tab, not in these colorful tabs that I've done, but something distinct, maybe just white tabs. So the color tabs are the chapters, the white tabs are the important information. I do this every time for my state-specific exam, and it makes a difference. So in the end, you have an open book exam, but it's going to be difficult to get to these topics in time because you've got a limited amount of time, and it is quite limited. So you need to be familiar with the statutes. You need to have your statutes tabbed, have the important topics tabbed and highlighted, and be ready to quickly get information. And in fact, things like record of survey versus corner record, you may want to memorize because the time goes by so quickly. In the end, I think the changes in the reference list have made this exam even more difficult. But in the end, if you're prepared, I'm confident you'll pass your exam because you're going to prepare well before exam day, going to have all your statutes put together. And if you would like to save the hassle of pulling all these statutes and putting them together, contact us. We'd be glad to sell you a 2-volume statute binder, and you'll be well on your way to passing your California Professional Land Surveyor exam.
If you found this video helpful and informative, I would appreciate it if you would hit the thumbs up button to like the video, and then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way, more people can find this video and it can help them. Plus, when you hit the subscribe button, you'll be able to watch the newest NLC videos as soon as they come out.